Hello again, Halfbright. Welcome back to the Lucid Loft, that cozy corner of the universe where brains get untangled, hearts get lighter, and socks, well, they still refuse to match, but they do it with confidence. Tiptoe in. Let the world wait outside for a minute. You deserve this exhale. Today's quote quest comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest achievement." It's funny, isn't it? Being yourself sounds like it should be the easiest thing in the world. But in real life, it sometimes feels like the hardest thing in the galaxy. Because it seems like we are constantly handed out costumes. This is how you should behave. This is how you should look. This is who you should impress. And suddenly you're 7 layers deep in acceptable versions of me, wondering where the original went. Overthinking keeps adjusting the costume. Self-doubt keeps rehearsing for a performance that was never required. And the real you? The relaxed, honest, wonderfully weird you gets quieter under all that noise. "No, I don't need no help. I can sabotage me myself," goes a lyric from a song by Paramore. And it is quite true. But here's the Loft's favorite secret. Being yourself takes no effort. It's the pretending that tires you out. The worrying, the fitting in, the don't disappoint anyone ever choreography. Emerson wasn't praising perfection. He was praising the courage it takes to drop the layers, to breathe, to let people think whatever they think, to not shrink or shapeshift just to keep the peace. Being yourself isn't an act of rebellion. It's an act of returning, a homecoming, the greatest accomplishment because it is the most true. Okay, time for our weekly mental workout. It is tiny but strong, like a miniature superhero with a cape made of honesty. It's called the 2-second truth. Here's how it works. Think of something you're overthinking. Shouldn't take long. Humans are pros. Now ask yourself, if I wasn't worried about what anyone thinks, what would I do? The answer you get in the first 2 seconds, before the doubts and the drama start their musical number. Now that's your truth, your clarity, your inner compass waving a tiny flag. All the buts and what ifs, they're still there, of course. That's the work. Noticing them, untangling them, letting your head catch up to your heart. And gently exploring all those little fears and limiting beliefs. But the first step, catch that 2-second truth. That's the inner compass pointing you toward being exactly, unapologetically yourself. Now for our mini miracle report. Our moment to notice the little sparks of kindness or wonder. It was just a regular morning at a Starbucks in St. Petersburg, Florida. Nothing special. Nothing dramatic. People ordering coffee, thinking about their day, trying to remember if they fed their cat or just thought about feeding their cat. One woman paid for her drink and then quietly paid for the drink of the person behind her. A small spark, a tiny kindness, easy to overlook. But the next driver, surprised, smiling, decided to pass it on. And then the person behind them did the same. And then another and another. What no one expected was that the kindness would continue not for 5 people, not for 50, Not even for 100, but for 378 cars in a row. One spark lighting another, and another, until the entire day glowed. Isn't that a cool miracle? Now, to a small town in Idaho. For more than 20 years, every single afternoon, Christina Kavanagh, who has Down syndrome and is mostly non-speaking, visited the same video rental store with her mom, Toni. Same store, same movies, same ritual. It wasn't about the film. Toni already owned most of them. It was about the routine, the comfort. But the store was struggling. Streaming had swallowed most of its business, and the owner, Dave, knew he had to close. Except closing meant breaking Christina's ritual, breaking her joy, breaking the thing she looked forward to every day. Dave didn't want to do that. He kept the store open longer than he should have, just for her. And when the day finally came that he had to lock the doors for good, he didn't stop there. Dave also owned the convenience store next door, so inside it he built Christina's Corner, a special shelf arranged exactly like the old video store, her favorite movies front and center. Every day around 3:30 p.m., Dave and his team wait for Christina. She walks in, heads right to her corner, picks her movie, checks it out herself, pays with pride, and before she leaves, she hugs Dave. A hug that says everything she can't say in words. I see you. Thank you for making room for me in this world. And Dave, he smiles and says, see you tomorrow. And I'm sure you know stories like this too. Little moments where someone chose kindness when they didn't have to. Maybe someone helped you. Maybe you helped someone else. Maybe it was tiny. Maybe it was unplanned. And here's the part you might forget. You already add your own spark of kindness every day. Truly. Even if you're blanking out right now and thinking, do I? Let me remind you. Kindness doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be dramatic. And it definitely doesn't need to go viral. It just needs to be real. So if you're looking for ideas, here are a few tiny but powerful sparks you can add this very week. Send a voice note to a friend saying, thinking of you. Let someone merge in traffic without morphing into a fire-breathing lane guardian. Give a cashier a genuine thank you, the kind that lands, not the autopilot one. Hold a door, offer a smile, share a snack. Ask someone how they're doing and actually wait for the answer. Let's light up the world with kindness. Now, for the slightly tilted tale. So today's slightly tilted tale is called The Quail Who Forgot How to Fly. Once, deep in a forest where the wind liked to hum old songs, lived a small quail. Nothing unusual, brown feathers, tiny feet, a voice that squeaked even when she tried to sound serious. But this quail had a problem. She was terrified of being judged. Every time she fluttered her wings, she worried, what if someone thinks I'm flapping wrong? What if they notice I'm awkward? What if I look ridiculous? So she walked everywhere. Walked to find food, walked over logs, walked across the entire forest floor like a very determined puddle. One day, a storm arrived, a big one, and every creature flew, scurried, or leapt to safety. But our quail just stood there, legs shaking, thinking, overthinking. What if I fly weird? What if I mess up? What if I look silly? A wise old bird saw her and said, "Little one, you were born with wings. Why are you arguing with them?" And for a moment, just one tiny moment, she forgot to be scared. She forgot to perform. She forgot to imagine an audience. She simply lifted her wings and flew. Effortlessly, beautifully, naturally. Turns out, the hardest part wasn't flying. It was dropping the fear of being watched while flying. And after that day, whenever she felt shaky, she reminded herself, flying takes no effort. Pretending not to fly takes all of it. Maybe the same is true for us. Thanks for being here, Halfbright. Remember, being yourself is the easy part. It's the layers you don't need, the pleasing, the shrinking, the overthinking, that make things heavy. Drop one layer this week, just one. Your wings know what to do. If this episode helped, share it with another Halfbright who might be walking when they were born to fly. This is Smita, your host. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your heart open to the slightly impossible. This is the Lucid Loft podcast, where wonder, wit, and joy are always on the guest list.